Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Pitstop podcast. With me is Mark Jones. I'm Jaco van der Merwe, and this week we are discussing the very, belated Nissan Navara, the new one coming. So it's not coming yet. We can't tell you a date yet, but what has surfaced of late is reports in Australia suggesting it's going into production towards the end of the year and will be on sale 2026. That's Australian market, it's not South Africa. We can only guess then that would leave us the whole 2026 for a Navara to be introduced here. But the big thing here is now the Nissan bosses saying in Australia, listen, it's not going to be, we all know, of course, it's based on the new Mitsubishi Triton. And of course, the first thing they're saying is it's not going to be a rebadged Triton, it's going to be a very bespoke Navara. Now, Mark, those are not the first two manufacturers to do that kind of thing. If we just keep purely to bakkies, Ford Ranger and the VW Amarok shares the same thing. So at this stage, it's basically the basic PR talk ahead of it.
The irony is that, Nissan and the Merck Alliance had the same sort of speech and it kind of fell flat. So with Nissan now, well, let's see. I'm not convinced they can pull it off. I mean, if the DNA underneath and the hardware underneath is Mitsubishi Triton, then Navara is going to be basically a Mitsubishi Triton. Might have a slightly different skin, obviously, but we will see. It worries me a little in sort of the context of Ranger being kind of so far ahead with digitalization and modern dashes and car-like rides, that they're going to base their new Navara, which is now a year away, give or take, on the new Mitsubishi Triton, which we drove not so long ago. And to be blunt, and we said it then, it's hardly that new inside. Small screens, analog instrumentation, makes it feel very bakkie-like. And no, Navara needs all the help it can get. It once was a brilliant bakkie, a brand that was well respected, and it still is. But their product is just kind of not evolving as fast as some of the competition.
Yeah, the harsh reality is, of course, is their sales. If you just take January, it's been on the decline for a while.
Yeah.
They'll be the first to admit it's not where they want it to be, especially with a discontinuation of the MP200. The problem there is the bakkie sales and one's having a hard body 300 in that NP300 in that lineup. So just the harsh reality, in January they sold less than 300. They were outsold by the Toyota Land Cruiser pickup.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, seriously, that's showing that Navara is at the end of its life. But speaking of the Ranger, obviously the VW Amarok benefits from that fantastic suspension and hardware that the Ranger's got. If you're going to be moving to the Mitsubishi and there, we need to ask, is that going to be enough for Navara to revive themselves and go up that chart? Because, I mean, just to put it into perspective, where they are at the moment, they're trailing the Mahindra pickup by over 500 in sales per month. And the Mahindra pickup is a long way off the top three, which is Hilux, Ranger, and D-Max. So, I mean, they're going to need a lot of convincing and a solid product to get back the buyers' favor.
Agreed. I really hope for them, if we don't have the magic wonder, we sure as hell don't have the decision-making processes, and they'll know their stuff better than we do. But you kind of wish they would take a sort of Triton ride, which is bakkie-like, and maybe spend some time and money tweaking that to get more of a comfortable double cab ride. And then, of course, I know it's the architecture's whatever in the front, but man, get yourself some flat screens and whatever. And it's literally a tablet, and it's literally another tablet. Modernize the interior. Then I think with some pricing, good pricing, you can say, here's our new product. People are loyal to Nissan as a brand, but the bakkies just don't resonate because they don't offer enough value at the price, and they're pretty dated. And now they're about to bring it on a new vehicle, which to me is pretty dated. So let's hope that they do some modernizing. Otherwise, I think 300 is going to be their kind of number on average, maybe not in the first month or two. And then they run the risk that the Chinese bakkies that are going to keep coming are going to start to even draw them down even further. So they're in for a tough time.
Yeah, speaking of hardware, they've got the new Navara, which is well known it's going to go back from coil spring suspension to more traditional leaf springs. As far as I know, the coil spring suspension was never too popular.
Yeah.
It was a hotly debated topic. And engines, of course, they're going to share the same powertrains with the Triton, which is the 2.4, either in single turbo, bi-turbo, and going away from the current 2.3 and 2.5. Now, the twin-turbo Mitsubishi 2.4 hasn't been to South Africa yet, but that could at least be a little drawing card. Because, I mean, you've written a story that's quite good in that 2-liter, in that 4-cylinder setup. It's quite fast, but, I mean, one fast bakkie's not going to do it for them.
No, it's you know what, I think there's all reason behind that. Mitsubishi hasn't been quick on the draw to release that bi-turbo. It's been available in Australia for a long time, right-hand drive. I think they're scared of price. They're scared of the difference in the performance. Is it enough to justify the price? You know, they're in a sensitive area of the market. They're 800 grand and above kind of vibes. Navara, next gen, a year from now, increasing pricing. Are they going to be able to bring a bakkie in at less than 800, or is their leisure vehicles going to go 900 and a million? I just see a tough sell ahead of me. I just see, they got some good goodies, but I just see if they're going to stick to the sort of recipe they're currently on. They, like I've said it a couple of times now, they're in for a hard rider.
Yeah, the other problem, of course, is a potential problem is if they don't manufacture the new one here. They haven't taken a decision yet. There's been all sorts of talk what's going to go down in that plant in Roslyn after the MP200 left. Navara sales, I think it's way too low to sustain that factory. They've been talking about a second model, possibly a SUV, whatever. But I mean, even that would probably be supplementary, or if that's the main one, the Navara, let's say the new Navara needs to be supplementary product there. But I mean, it's not sustainable. And if they're going to have to import that, then not being locally manufactured, the lack of import credits then, and export and all of that. And then, as you say, with all the Chinese products there, agreed, it's going to be a tough sell for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's no sort of fluke that your top bakkies, your Ranger, your Hilux and your D-Max are locally manufactured kind of product. They invested in the country, as Nissan are. But if they're not going to do something with a new bakkie and they can't open up an export market, I mean, they bid for the overseas business. They can't do anything with that. Yeah, economies of scale are just not going to support it. They got some hard decisions ahead of them. I mean, God forbid, can we even say it? There's a chance if this doesn't come off, like Mazda, we could see the end of Navara. I mean, have you ever thought we'd say that? But, I mean, how do you sustain a whole dealer network and a business on less than 300 units a month?
That's the thing. And in their current stable, apart from the Navara, it is the Magnite, which is basically their big star. X-Trail with very few sales. We're talking about a dozen a month. And a Patrol you can count on your one hand. So then they're left with a Magnite. Can a Magnite support a whole legacy brand like that across the country?
Yeah, listen, I think if they don't get some fresh product in the sort of baby SUV market like Magnite, get another 2-3 derivatives somewhere there, and SUVs at the right price, because that's been slaughtered by the Chinese as well. Yeah, I mean, dare we say it? They can we see the exit of Nissan in South Africa? I mean, it's bizarre to think that way, but it's got to be a tough business plan. I mean, to run a dealership is not for free. The overheads, the marketing, the stock warehousing, you name it. I don't really want to be in their shoes right now, unless they know something that 2026 or 2027 going forward, here comes a batch of product that we're going to love and want.
Yeah, but before we put the carriage ahead of the horses, let's hang on and see what comes out. And maybe they announce that second SUV for Roslyn this year before the new Navara even comes. But
exactly.
Yeah,
long may they live, yeah.
Yes, interesting times ahead. As soon as we know more about that new Nissan Navara, check in with us again. To make sure you're doing that, follow the YouTube channel. You can go and like this podcast. You can go and share it. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I'm Jaco van der Merwe. I was joined by Mark Jones. Thank you very much. Cheers.